Do you ever wish you could find a shortcut to the next level of success? Because you've had success so far in your business, but man, you want to get to this next level. Maybe it's leveling up from six figures to seven figures or seven to eight or whatever that looks like for you. But there's got to be a shortcut, right? Friends, let me tell you the truth. There is no shortcut. The only shortcut we have is to lean in and let Jesus lead. So join me in unpacking that in this episode. Hey, before we jump into today's episode, you often hear me talk about the 4 keys to redefine hustle on this show: define, direct, discipline, and develop. Do you ever wish you could be sitting beside me and I could walk you through those keys and applying them to your business? Well, guess what? Now you can. I've created the 4 keys 5-day audio devotional just for you. In this devotional, every day for 5 days, you'll get a short audio dropped right in your email to walk you through each of the keys and how to apply them immediately in your business. I know you're excited to get it, so go to erinharrigan.com/4keys devotional or click the link in the show notes. Hey, my fellow high achieving sister in Christ. Ever wonder if it's possible to be ambitious and let God lead at the same time? Does the hustle fuel your adrenaline, but you want to ditch the overachievement and pursue success with clarity, serenity, and fulfillment? If your outward success doesn't match your inner unrest and unfulfillment, then this podcast is for you. Welcome to Redefining Hustle, Pursuing Success as a Christian Woman. I'm Erin Harrigan, a Christian wife, empty nest mom, entrepreneur, and recovering overachiever who felt those same things. When I prayed for a better way to work, God responded, "Let me drive." And then he led me to help women like you through my speaking, coaching, and writing. My mission is teaching you that success doesn't require buying into the world's frantic definition of hustle or into the so-called anti-hustle movement. Instead, you can meet me right here in the middle to redefine hustle as you pursue success with God as your CEO. Each week, we'll spend a focused 15 minutes connecting biblical truth to business with practical application so you can tune out the world, tune into God's truth, and turn up focus. Does that sound like what you need today? Great, then buckle up and let's go. I know I spent a lot of time in my entrepreneur journey before Jesus, and I'm going to level with you. Sometimes, even still, I struggle looking for the shortcut for the next level in my business. Is it the next course? Is it the next membership? Is it the next book I read, the next conference I attend, the next coach that I hire? Or is it the next offer that I provide, or that I need to be doing what everyone else is doing? And recently, our church has been walking through the book of Acts. And in particular, what hit me recently at the end of Acts 15 and beginning of Acts 16 was the division between Paul and Barnabas. So Paul has been on this journey with Barnabas, and there comes a point where they disagree and they decide to separate. And what the pastor said in this is that what God meant here was to take 2 missionaries and create 2 missions to separate them for even greater impact. And that was, I'm sure, a shortcut to spreading the word of the Lord that Paul was not planning on. But what comes out of this is that in their separation and their creation of 2 separate ministries, new missionaries come into the picture. We see that Barnabas begins his journey with John Mark, and then Paul goes on with Silas, but then Timothy comes into the picture. And I think sometimes that we have our plan in our heads and we don't take that vital step of surrendering that plan to the Lord and allowing his way with all of it. In the last episode, episode 240, we talked about creating a God-honoring strategy. And the very last point of that was that we've got to surrender that plan to the Lord and allow him to move us in the direction he wants. But we have trouble with that, don't we? Let's look back at the Israelites and the trouble they had. If you read from Exodus through Numbers and Leviticus and Deuteronomy, you see that at every turn they start to obey the Lord and then they pull back and they complain and they whine. God gives them manna, but then they get tired of that and they want meat. So then God sends quail, right? Because they think it should be easier. And isn't there a point in our own journeys where we look back and go, I just want to go back to that Egypt, just like the Israelites did? Or even Paul's journey. I don't know if you've ever looked at a map of Paul's journey in the book of Acts, but my goodness, surely there had to have been a shortcut, right? But there is no shortcut. Friends, when we ask why there is no shortcut and we bring that to Jesus, the purpose is that he wants us to work through our challenges. He wants us to work through this journey and teach us dependence on him, reliance on him. He wants us to break free from our self-reliance and our self authority, and he wants us to lean into him with obedience and humility. We want to execute our plans, but the strategy is always the Lord's. But don't we hear all the time about the shortcuts? The shortcuts. When I was in network marketing, what I was always taught was to emulate and follow the leaders ahead of me and do exactly what they had done. But it left no room for how I might approach a situation differently or how I might sell differently that would be better suited for who I am in the Lord. And so often we want to turn to these gurus and find, how do we go from 100 followers to 100,000 followers in 5 days? How do we go from zero to $100,000 a month, right? We all want a shortcut, but the truth is there is no shortcut. It's simply Jesus, and that is enough. It can only all happen in his power. The reason why there was no shortcut was for the Israelites is because the Lord needed to teach them that he is the Lord their God and they should have no other gods before them. The reason there was no shortcut in Paul's journey is because there were so many lessons and teachings and people that he needed to connect with and share the gospel with along the way. Could the same be true of your business journey? Listen, friend, I know if you're listening to this podcast that you've probably got all the outward success, but you're striving for that next achievement because every time you reach the goal, it just doesn't seem to be enough. You got to go for the next thing. But that's not a shortcut either. It's about leaning into the Lord and letting him lead what comes next in your business. The coaching, the speaking, the podcast, the book, all of that as part of Aaron Harrigan coaching was never on my radar. It wasn't my plan, but God had to break down some barriers in me to show me that this was his plan for me to help his high achieving daughters to break free from business as usual, to learn to redefine hustle so that they could work with clarity, serenity, and fulfillment and have the ultimate kingdom impact. The Lord will get you where he needs you to be, where he's already planned for you to be, even when it doesn't make sense to you, even when he says no to you and you're thinking, I was perfectly aligned for that opportunity, but he doesn't bring it to fruition for you because there are no shortcuts. It's only surrender. It's showing up and being obedient and taking the action that he's given you to take. There was a great quote that my pastor shared this same week that we were talking about Acts 15 and 16. And it's a quote by George Mueller. And it says, God not only directs our steps, he directs our stops also. That is so powerful, friends, because we want to keep going. And sometimes God's got to stop us in our tracks. You know, one thing I learned early on in my journey, and that I talk about in my book, Pursuing Success God's Way, is that God's plan is not only bigger and greater than ours, but he is all about moving mountains to show us his will. So I want to encourage you this week to think about, who are you following? Whose teachings are you tuning into? Whose books are you reading? And are they promising shortcuts? Because here's the thing, there is no shortcut. There's simply Jesus. And I promise you that when you are obedient and surrendered to Him, when you create that strategy and lay it at the foot of the cross, then He will take you places you could never have even imagined going. I work with clients now that I would never have thought I would work with. These are women that I probably wouldn't necessarily have approached at one time in my business because I thought their businesses are just too big. What could I possibly guide them through? But the Lord said, no, no, no. Be obedient, be surrendered, and I'll show you that way. I'll lead you there, even when it doesn't make sense. That's not a shortcut, friends. It's surrendering our good for His best. So I want to encourage you to evaluate that this week. Evaluate what you listen to here on my podcast, because I'm not the ultimate authority. The Lord is the authority. I am simply the vessel that brings the message forward. But let's be careful how those shiny objects can distract us with shortcuts. Let's be tuned in to where the Lord wants to take us and be consistently and diligently asking Him, Lord, where do you want me to go today? Whom do you want me to serve today? How do you want me to serve them? And let Him create the path. I've been saying there are no shortcuts and that it's all about Jesus, and it is. But when you are obedient and surrendered, He will speed up some of those things for you in ways that will make your head spin. Because remember that the psalmist tells us that a day to Him is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years a day. Time is His. So He can speed things up if He wants to. But let's not tune into the world for the shortcuts, and know that it's about surrender and obedience to Jesus. As I tell you always on this show, I want to remind you that God made you ambitious, but He did not make you to do business as usual. And I'm the coach that can break you free from that with His insight. So if working with a coach on your strategy or one-on-one is what you're looking to do this year to help you stay focused on what He's given you to do, then let's chat, because I have a couple of openings for coaching clients right now. And until we are together on the next episode, I pray for and encourage you to tune out the world and their noise about shortcuts. Tune into God's truth and turn up your focus to allow Him to lead you. I will see you on the next episode. Hey, don't forget to go get your hands on the new 4 Keys audio devotional to walk through these 4 keys as if I'm sitting right beside you. You can grab it at erinharrigan.com/4keys devotional or click the link in the show notes. As an established solopreneur or business owner with a team of employees who's ready to refine or scale your business, you're probably swimming in opportunities, overflowing with ideas, and excited about the possibilities. But you're overwhelmed thinking, how can I set a strategy when I'm trying to run a business and be productive? There are so many ideas and opportunities. How do I decide what's worth pursuing? I don't have time to waste on things that don't align to the vision and mission that God's given me. My client Jen felt this way as she sought to scale her business with a God-honoring strategy. Enter my focused and fruitful strategy day. Jen said of her experience, my strategy day with Erin was just what I needed. She helped me look at my current services, dream about the future, and create a plan to grow and scale. Her giftedness as a visionary with an understanding of the day-to-day tactical tasks is a magical combination I've never seen before. And she approaches it all from a firm foundation of faith. My strategy day gives you a full day of private coaching with me and my strategic mapping zone of genius, while being nourished with good food in a tranquil environment and celebrated for your progress at the end of the day, all in the beauty of Chesapeake Beach, Maryland, or in your location. If you want to bring calm to the chaos, tame the tornado, and silence the squirrels in your business for a clear path forward, visit erinharrigan.com/strategy day to learn more and schedule time with me. No squirrels were harmed in the making of this message or in the delivery of the strategy day. Thanks for tuning in to Redefining Hustle, Pursuing Success as a Christian Woman each week. I pray this show helps you to see that God made you ambitious, but He didn't make you to do business as usual. Remember to check the show notes for my free resources and other helpful links. If this episode spoke to you, take a screenshot, share it with a friend, or share it on social and tag me. I'm praying for you, friend, that you'll embrace redefining hustle, and in turn, your business will produce much fruit and impact His kingdom in greater ways than you could ever do in your own strength.